Let's talk Nvidia earnings out overnight. Going to bring in Josh Gilbert, market analyst at eToro, live on the line. Morning, Josh.
Good morning, guys. How are we?
Yeah, good. Thanks very much indeed. Keen to get your take on this. First of all, though, let's hear very briefly from Jensen Huang. He's been doing the media rounds after those earnings came out, revenue and profit beating expectations, but the share price down 3% in after hours. This is what Jensen had to say, talking to Yahoo Finance.
We had a record quarter without China, and we just guided another record quarter without China. The fundamentals are this. One, we're in the second generation of our Blackwell architecture. Blackwell is revolutionary. It's got this new NVLink 72 rack scale computer. The entire rack is one computer, which causes the AI to be able to think. It can think, it could do plan, it could reason, does research, use tools. So the amount of computation has gone through the roof. And meanwhile, all of these AI native companies are coming up with all these exciting new applications. It's incredible growth.
Jensen Huang. Josh, what was your take on the Nvidia earnings?
Blockbuster numbers, to be honest. I think once again we're seeing one of the best businesses in the world. Look, it has so much dominance over the S&P 500. We look to it as, it's almost the heartbeat of the market. It is, right? 8%, weight on the S&P 500. That's the largest we've ever had. It eclipses the market cap now of the whole crypto market, the FTSE 100, the ASX 200. So when we think about this company, it's not just moving its own share price, it's moving the whole entire market. But for me, the numbers solidified what is the king of AI, really. Look, markets are going to obsess over the faults. Again, the idea is that we fell short a little bit on the sky high expectations that some investors had, which has seen shares go a little bit lower after hours. But for me, the numbers still sort of continue to show that this AI trade is in full swing. And you've got a business that at its scale and its size is still delivering huge growth, which I think when we think about Nvidia, I think that it really is impressive, and I think the market is probably overreacting a little bit, but ultimately, when you're the biggest company in the world, perfection is the expectation, and we maybe didn't get exactly perfection today.
So the share price has doubled since April. Back in April, you could buy one Nvidia share for $90 odd. Today, it's $182, or it was last night at the close. And a lot of people are using the B word, the bubble word. Sam Altman has acknowledged that there is a bubble to some extent in artificial intelligence. My learned friend Tom Urquhart, my co-host, is concerned about a bubble. What about you?
Look, I don't think so. I think what we're seeing is AI being monetized, more than ever before. And I think we saw that with big tech, in the quarter just gone, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Meta, whether it's Alphabet, these businesses are making money from AI. We're seeing enterprises spend more money on AI than ever before. Okay, in the sense of where we're getting to, there's a question over how long can this necessarily be sustained for. But this is the biggest technology revolution that we've seen, in decades. In the same way that, Apple sort of symbolized the smartphone era, Nvidia is really symbolizing the AI era. So I don't think, at this moment in time that we can call it a bubble. If we look at Nvidia's valuation, it's really not anything that's, out of this world, let's be very frank, right? If we look at some of the valuations of other companies and, in years gone by, this is a business that is delivering on all fronts. It's not exactly, not making money. This is, a money-making machine that we have on our hands. So I guess in some cases when we talk about a bubble, maybe it's that expectation of, an AI slowdown. But for me, I don't think we're there yet. This is, as I say, one of the best businesses that I think that we've ever seen. And I think if you're calling this weakness, then I think it just goes to show how well Nvidia has delivered over the years.
Oh, Josh, you're younger than me. I see 20 times revenue and 60 times earnings, and I take fright, but I'm 53, so maybe I'm just a stuffy old person. Let's talk more broadly about Nvidia and maintaining its market share. One of my concerns is that, let's assume that AI isn't a bubble, that AI is all singing, all dancing. Nvidia is unquestionably the dominant player at the moment. But history suggests it's very hard to maintain that position. 20 years ago, Intel had that position, and yet it was eclipsed by another player. Can Nvidia maintain that dominant position when you've got Intel now with US government investment into it and many others? I mean, the names of ARM and many others like it. Isn't someone, or maybe a company we've never heard of, going to come and eclipse Nvidia?
Look, there's no doubt that that's absolutely a challenge, or maybe even a worry in the background for investors, right? We think about that DeepSeek hurdle that we had for Nvidia back at the start of the year. That sent shockwaves through the Nvidia share price, and sort of saw the lows that we sort of ended up reaching in April. So there is that worry there. For now, though, Nvidia is sort of really the best in the business. And when you're thinking about Microsoft, Meta, those other names, for now, you're not going to go anywhere else but the best, right? These big tech names, they're spending hundreds of billions of dollars to try and be the best in the business. And why would you go somewhere else that isn't the best? So I definitely think that we are going to see, these competitors catch up. There's no doubt about that. Nvidia is sort of really, run ahead in this race. But I think that gap will sort of close a little bit at some point in the future. But that doesn't mean that Nvidia can't continue to sort of grow and keep innovating, right? We heard from Jensen Huang today that, okay, we look at China, that dominated much of the conversation and they're really struggling there. But it's how nimble they are, what really sort of stands out for me. Jensen was very quick to sort of say, okay, we're closed off to China from US firms, but we're not going to just simply walk away. We're going to look to sort of, beef out a Blackwell variant that helps give us future access to China. They've got the cash to sort of be able to sort of continue to innovate and stay at the front. And I think this is a business that's been around for, 30 years and is one of the best in the business now. And I think that when you get to sort of that peak, yes, it's easy to be knocked off, but when you've got the cash to keep innovating, as they have continued to do with Blackwell, etc., it's really hard to, in the short term, see someone, come and challenge you. But we know that not every business, stay shiny forever. If we look at Apple over recent years, has really struggled. So I definitely think that there is some concern there that competitors will ultimately catch up at some point.
30 seconds left with you, Josh. What are the analysts saying on eToro, for example? I know you look in aggregate at what the analysts, is it a buy, is it a hold, is it a sell? What are the analysts that eToro tracks saying about Nvidia?
Yeah, it's an overarching buy. Look, I mean, the number of analysts calling this a buy, I think we have one analyst calling it as a sell. And I think, that just goes to sort of show that, we've got annual sales running at nearly 200 billion, growing more than 50% each year. It's defining this sort of AI era as we know it. And I think that those analysts are positive no matter sort of what this business delivers. And I think it goes to show that any weakness will be seen as opportunity for investors.
Josh, appreciate your time. Thanks very much indeed joining us live from Sydney, Australia. The thoughts there, Josh Gilbert, market analyst at eToro.